scared or like nervous about me putting his actual collar on than the.
Oh, the gentle eater type collar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that's good. I did the place or go to bed that we were practicing, and I got out the hair dryer and the vacuum, and he got like very scared, and he was like nervous and stuff, but he found once we were done, he was fine. So he's getting used to it,
Yeah.
I would say.
So with the hair dryer and all that stuff, make that as consistent as possible, whether it's like a single 15-minute session a day or whatever. So when it comes to stress, people tend to want to stay away from stressors with their dog, and by doing that, they actually make the dog emotionally weaker. The more you expose the dog to stress, as long as you're doing it correctly, they'll start to build either confidence or comfort with it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like skydiving. You ever been skydiving?
Fuck no.
Okay, so I think we can agree it's probably gonna be really stressful, right? If you ever did that, trying to jump out of the airplane.
Yeah.
But if you did that, once a month or whatever, like you'd get comfortable with it, but it would take a long time.
Yeah.
But if you did it every day, you would get over it pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing with these guys. No matter what the stressor is, e-collar, hair dryer, vacuum, picking them up, right, is exposing them to all these other stressors regularly. Just teaching them like there's nothing to really be that stressed out about. And then pairing with food. The food is meant to change underlying emotional state. However, if he is too stressed, the food's not going to matter, right? So we also can use that as a reference point. So if the next 2 weeks as you're doing this, you're like, yeah, Jesse, he would not take food at all for the vacuum cleaner. But then after the second week he did, that gives us an idea of where his stress levels are and where he, how he feels about it. So then we know we're making progress.
Yeah.
Every dog progresses differently. Don't be concerned if you're going into like a month of him not taking food or something. That's just how it goes. And it's not, and some dogs they just may never take food.
So
right?
he never stopped taking food. He never, and I didn't want to stress him out, but I kind of wanted to see like sort of how stressed he would get. And he just never stopped taking food.
Okay.
He thought about it once with the vacuum.
Sure.
But he took it.
And were you using his kibble or treats?
Treats.
Treats?
But
Okay.
just normal treats, not like cheese or anything.
Anything like that, yeah. You can even, again, break it down to just his kibble. So he's essentially working for his the nutrition. Dogs, in my opinion, are aware of like, I need this versus this. So it's like, with us, we need actual healthy food and not like cakes and sweets and candies and stuff, right? So same thing for the dog. So, because I had another client years ago who was training his Rottweiler, he could never train his Rottie to wear the muzzle. And I kept, because he was feeding treats and stuff, so the dog was like, nah, I got my food, right? And I kept telling him, like, if your dog doesn't eat the kibble, his regular food, get rid of all treats, get rid of all access, just his food, out that muzzle, like, you're gonna break him. He's gonna give in, but he wouldn't do it. So the dog got muzzle trained, right? So there's always ways to make it, how do you say, more meaningful for the dog, because then he's like, oh crap, I really have to like this stuff because it's the only time I get my food.
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as he's taking it, that's fine.
I did switch to the kibble with the muzzle too. So I do both now. I feed him out of the muzzle in my hand twice a day. So he's used to having his face in it, and then I put a little peanut butter on it so he's like looking and distracted, and then I'll like click it.
Do the strap. Okay. Do you want to show me how you're approaching it?
Sure. I only brought the peanut butter.
That's fine.
Get off. Okay, Duke. You can play this game.
There we go. Good.
Okay. I brought a jar of peanut butter.
You brought what?
I brought peanut butter.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Fine. You are prepared.
Huh?
And the butter is funny.
Okay, I have to take this off though.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. He really loves peanut butter. Not surprisingly. Okay, so I just do it around this little mouth area.
I see.
So it's like a little game. He has to find it all. I don't know why I'm narrating this to you, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
He might not do it in here.
I'll just say, yeah, As soon as I saw him turn away a little bit.
Nope.
Like
So this morning he was fine.
Sure.
Wow.
And if you
Okay.
have you just like put it on him or no?
No. I'm scared to.
To like get him, like make him digress or something?
Yeah.
So one thing with the muzzle is when we put it on, we actually don't put it on like this. We put it on like this, where you get the side of the dog. Because most people, when you're pushing it
If
into
you
the
go
face,
like this, he gets.
yeah. So or you can even, depending on if he has like, how do you say, some dogs don't like people standing over them. The other thing is what we'll do is we'll just stand right over,
Mhm.
and then flip it right over the face like that, and then just clasp, because it's just coming like this, whoop, right? So it catches them off guard.
Yeah.
And as opposed to trying to push it into his face, where that's going to be more so like, well, what is this?
Okay.
So let me have you just try just sliding it over his face from the side. And then you don't want to say anything here, you just want to. And just mark it. Does he have his teeth still?
Yeah.
He does? Okay.
Yeah.
Are they sharp?
Yeah. Why?
Well,
It will
because,
hurt if he bites.
huh?
It will hurt if he bites.
Because we have welding gloves
Oh.
for smaller dogs, so that we could, if you wanted to start like just like the picking up exercise or anything like that.
That might be enough. I mean, he has his big teeth.
Yeah, the
The canines.
Yeah.
Actually, I had to get his teeth cleaned over the summer, which was like a total nightmare because he hates the vet, and you gotta go in. Well, I was really proud of his progress, and now
Okay.
you're not gonna see it.
Did he eat breakfast or anything this morning?
Yeah,
He did?
out of
Okay.
muzzle.
Out the muzzle, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Okay, should I keep trying this?
No, so let's say with at home, okay,
Mhm.
because that's where things count the most, is, if you want to clean off, we have paper towel, by the way.
Okay, well, sorry.
No worries. I just want you to see where he was at, right? So,
So he did let me put it on at home.
correct.
Yeah.
And then, and did he wear it, or did he just like, did he fight any bit?
No, he was just looking, and then he finished the peanut butter, and I left it on for like 45 seconds.
Okay.
And then took it off and gave him a treat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so going to the touch sensitivity, right? It's when you try to pick him up.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, or other things. Kind of depends on his mood, but anything from like wiping his feet, clipping his nails, me trying to pick him up. Maybe if you came at him from behind and like really startled him.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Okay.
mostly picking up.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Thank you. You're doing a good job. Go.
All right. So here, would you like me to do it first?
I don't know, what are we doing?
Touch sensitivity.
Okay. Are you prepared?
Yeah, I mean, a dog hit me the other day. So here. Excuse me.
another strap. Want to try one more time? Why do you hate this so much?
So what happens is, so think of this environment as a stressor.
Yeah. He's definitely more relaxed when we do all this at home.
Yes. And then you put the muzzle on that's also a stressor.
I'll muzzle
Okay?
him first next time.
Oh, no, you're fine. So here, man,
Yeah.
what are you currently set up in your remote?
10.
Okay. What's the highest you had to go?
I think 15 with the vacuum.
Gotcha. So we're going to 15 because last time he was put under stress, that's the level that deters the behavior. Okay. What we're going to do here is going to get your bag of, what's the highest you have today?
Cheese.
Cheese, right? Let's go to grab cheese.
It's not fancy, it's normal. This time?
Not acceptable. All right. So you said pause, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna do here, is I'm just gonna test. Okay, so whenever I come in, just as FYI, I always do closed hand, because if a small dog tries to bite, it's hard for them to get a grip.
Sure.
You know, so I always go closed hand like this, okay? So like, let's say, for instance, the nail clipping. So we have nail clipping, we have being picked up, the startle from behind is one thing. What else was the other one? I feel like there's a fourth one.
Like wiping his paws.
Okay.
Putting his collar. I mean, just like the being
Okay.
handled of all kinds.
Okay, so here, did you see that?
No.
Okay. He gave me a sideways look and then started to lick his lips. Okay?
Okay.
So what we want to do is,
Is that bad?
well, it's tension.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that it's bad, it means that he's uncomfortable.
Okay.
Okay, so he's giving us a lot, dogs give us a lot more communication than people think.
Yeah.
So whenever someone says like, oh, the dog bites without warning, I'm like, no, there's a warning, it's probably just didn't see it because it's so subtle, right?
So my family calls it the I'm gonna bite the shit out of you face.
Sure.
And he gives you like this.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, now he gave me a side eye,
Yeah.
which would be like the step below that,
Yeah.
okay? So here, with the touch sensitivity stuff that you've done, because you've done food stuff before, correct? And then I'm assuming like you would grab his paw and give him a treat, okay? Did you do that with the nail clipper?
I mean, currently he gets a treat for every nail that gets clipped.
Okay.
So I show him the treat and show him the nail clipper, clip a nail, and then he gets a treat. That's how I have to do it.
Okay, but he will allow you to clip his nails?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you tried pushing for more?
No.
No, okay. So here, what happens is when you present the prize or the reward first, it's more so a bribe as opposed to an expectation, right?
Yeah.
So let me just flip things.
Okay.
So here, if you've already done, you have a solid foundation to jump from, okay? Is here, I would have the nail clipper in the paw. So typically it would be show him the nail clipper and then give him a piece of food and then
Okay.
work your way from that. Whereas you're doing
The opposite.
food to distract him, grab his paw, clip, and then feed, right?
Right.
So if you're trying to make, and when it comes to stuff like the grooming or nail clipping or bathing, dogs don't trim their nails, right? So when they have an adverse reaction to something like that, I don't hold it against the dog because it's not meant to be, right?
Sure.
But of course, as dog owners, we need that for our dogs. So
Yeah,
that's
I
why
mean,
we
look
do
at
it.
his talons.
Yeah, that's why we do a balance of positive and negative these kind of exercises.
Yeah.
Or like even picking him up, he's not meant to be picked up.
Sure.
Right? So here, what we would do is we would flip it where we would present the nail clipper, grab the foot, okay? Or the steps would be, show the nail clipper, then reward. And then what you would start to see is when he would see the nail clipper, he would actually get excited. The next step would be show the nail clipper, grab the foot, then reward. Okay, then the next step is grab the foot, touch the foot, then give the reward. Okay, then the next sequence is create that squeezing motion but not actually clipping, then reward. Until you get to the point of you can clip them, and then you reward after, again, not presenting it to him to see, but making him go through it first, doing the work first, and then getting paid, right? So my employees work and then I pay them.
Sure.
They don't get paid and then do the work because they could just easily not come back and then come off that money, right?
Yeah.
So same thing for the dog. So
All this will be easier to do with a muzzle because I will not be
Yes.
trying not to get bitten.
Correct. So here, when we do this, I'm going to give you an example. And you can even use something like the placemat as your reference point because it keeps them from changing, right? So here, tap, tap, tap. There we go. Okay. Because if he stays stuck in flight mode, you're just going to escalate stress. So here, if he jumps off and you correct him, he has to go back. This becomes his reference point. He goes, okay, I go here, which then allows you to then work on the feet stuff. Okay, because if he stays stuck in flight mode, you're going to keep escalating. So if he's thinking, hey, I'm trying to leave the situation, tap, 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 tap. There we go. So when I deal with if you're aggressive dogs, if I pull them towards me, you'll see them try to run away. Tap, tap, tap.
Should I turn it up?
Yeah, go try 17. If I pull them towards me, tap. There you go, you felt that one. You'll see them kind of skirt on the ground because they want nothing to do with me. And if I keep pulling them in, eventually they just go into aggression because I forced them into my personal space. Okay. Now, if I put pressure on them, they start to resist, and they go like this, and I remote them, and I increase the power until they decide to move towards me. I won't see aggression.
Interesting.
Okay, because there's no resistance. So here, if he keeps, let's say, trying to run away or pull away from you, what you're doing is you're technically allowing him to and correcting him, and you're saying you can't go into flight right now. So that you're not already starting off with an escalated state of mind, because then you're most definitely going to push into an aggressive territory, right? And of course, the muzzle makes it easier because you can't get bit. But you're trying to keep the stress levels lower to make it easier on you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can use his dog head as like a reference point for this. So if he tries to run away, like with vacuum, you correct him, he'd sit back and he's like, okay, running away is not an option. So then we shouldn't get escalation in behavior, okay?
Yeah.
I hate wearing masks with gloves and glasses and all this crap going on.
The
here.
fogging is a real problem.
Yes. All right, so here, what I'm gonna have you do.
He's quick, I'm just warning you. You laugh, but like
I have been bit pretty bad.
I know he's a little guy, but
I get
I
it.
just don't want you to get hurt.
So what I'm actually gonna do here, yeah, because I can already see the stillness.
His little top's gonna go up.
Yeah.
I can take his coat off if you want.
Okay. Go on your feet. And if we see him whip, this is just to give you a visual. If we see him whip into aggression, you're just gonna start tapping until I tell you to stop.
Okay.
So I'll verbalize it as well. So the reason why I'm pulling up here is going up. If he tries to bite, he's gonna have to move his body, and my hand's already in a lift up, right?
Okay.
So then I can keep myself at bay, and even if he tries to go after me here, because it's up, he's gonna have a hard time reaching me.
Okay.
Okay. On your feet. Do you see his little flinch there?
Yeah. Guess it's a good thing that he'll do almost anything for food. His mouth is flinching a little bit.
Curling?
Yeah, a little bit. Like an about to be a growl.
Good. Alright, good. Do you see how he's licking his lips a little bit? So that's a stress signal. Okay. That's from the cheese, right? So his mouth is fine. Right there.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Good. So here, I'm gonna give him a little break.
Okay.
So, reading his body language. What is an open mouth?
Hot?
It can be hot. Okay, what else?
Stressed? Wasn't
Yes.
he panting when he was stressed on the first day?
Venting stress, correct. Okay, so it's more so not stress, but venting stress.
Okay.
So like, let's say when you did your e-collar work,
Mm-hmm.
After you're done, right? Because he's like, what just happened stressed me out and I gotta let it go.
Mhm.
So that's what panting is. Panting is also relaxation.
Okay.
Okay? So it's relaxed stress, if you will. So let's say he's panting. Like right now, let's say he's stressed out about me touching him. He would be panting after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I go to touch his foot, what do you think would happen? Which is
Tensing up.
and closing his mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't, it's a precursor to striking.
Okay.
But
The
he's-
tensing?
Yes.
Okay.
But he's saying what's happening right now is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's going to be communication.
Yeah.
You know, so like, if like I went somewhere with my girlfriend, like maybe a party or something, she's like, this is too loud for me, I'm uncomfortable. She can voice that to
Mhm.
me, right? And vice versa. This guy can't, okay? So that tension, or you said, I'm about to bite you face, right, is loading tension.
Yeah.
And if you keep pushing, of course, he's gonna escalate. So that's why when people throw out the word aggressive, I tell them, oh, aggression is when it's like for the sake of being aggressive,
Mhm.
right? Dogs don't really do that. Like, is it possible? Yes, but it's super, super, super rare. There's usually a reason. I don't like being picked up. I don't like having my nails trimmed. I don't like having my feet touched, right? Except he's more likely to escalate to a physical bite
Mhm.
than another dog would.
Sure.
Another dog might just pull her foot away, right?
Yeah.
But eventually that dog makes you like, hey, I pulled my foot away 100 times and you're not leaving me alone. Now I'm gonna bite you, okay? So it's not without reason.
Yeah.
So here, when I was holding his paw, so at first I was just touching it, and then I started grasping it, and then I started squeezing it, right?
Mhm.
And then I started holding it longer. And then on the longest one, I think he did the mouth kind of movement about 2 to 3 times.
Mhm.
Okay, so during that time, he's like, he's still holding my foot, he's still holding my foot, he's still holding my foot, and then I let go, and then we reward, right? So I'm putting him under that pressure first. So here, if he were to turn and try to bite, we would kick him with the e-collar, there would be no words. We would
Mhm.
not say no,
Okay.
okay? Because if you say no, he can technically bite you until you say no.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, so a
So
human.
you want to train him that a command is like what the boundary is?
Repeat that?
What do you mean he can technically bite you until you say no?
Correct. So, let's say a guest came to your house, right? And you said, hey, don't go in that room. They just know not to go in that room, right?
Mhm.
And you can say, don't go in that room or I'll kick you out. So they know, oh, if I go in that room, there's a consequence and I'm going to be kicked out, right? He doesn't do that, okay? So for him, in order for him to learn to not do something, he technically has to try it and then there has to be a correction. You cannot tell him, hey Duke, if you try to bite me, I'm going to remote you at 35.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Got
That
it.
makes sense?
Yeah.
So in order for him, so let's say with jumping on people, a lot of people say off,
Mhm.
and then they correct the dog.
Okay.
But then for the dog, they can jump on you until you say off.
Okay.
So if we're trying to teach the dog to not do it, period,
Mhm.
there is no warning. Because that's what that word is. Off
Yeah.
is a warning.
Got it.
Get off now or I will correct you.
Mhm.
If we want the dog to learn it to not do it, period, then it's we just allow them and then we correct them with no warning.
Okay.
Okay?
That makes sense.
So, because that's a real common thing that people do and a lot of trainers do,
Yeah.
is when the dog's barking, they'll say like, no, be quiet. And I'll tell
Uh-huh.
them, well, do you want the dog to bark or not bark when you say so, right? And they'll say like, oh, well, when it comes to like barking out the window, I don't need it because it's just people walking by.
Mhm.
Then I'll tell them, just correct it. Because when you say no bark, technically your dog can bark out the window until you say no bark. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. I got
So
it.
when we're dealing with aggressive stuff, like when we have the suit on, that's why I have those. I had the
Those are wild.
aggressive pit the other day. I had to put on my. I had to bring out my bite suit to see like what is this dog about, right?
Mhm.
So like when I have truly aggressive dogs, this is when I walk into the home and they just attack. Okay, no, like I shouldn't say unprovoked because the provoking is actually me entering the home.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have to do anything. I literally just walk in and they attack. Other dogs, I would have to corner and
Mhm.
touch them because they're scared, right? So they're only attacking because I push them past their threshold, right? So if I walk in the home and the dog's attacking me, we just correct them with no warning, and that's why that suit is there. Because I can let the dog go ham, and I'm not going to get injured, right? So that's why we put these on, right? And that's why I'm pulling the leash up, because he has to technically try to get it out of his system and be corrected for it.
Or he won't learn not to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it always remains an option, and that's where positive only fails. It's great. It's definitely great for making something a positive, obviously. It's great for stuff you want to see again. Like when we said, place whatever, you would go and you would treat them. Yeah, very simple. It does not work for stuff you do not want to see again.
That makes sense.
Okay? So that's why we're doing both. We're doing e-collar to stop what we don't want, and then the e-collar reward, not the e-collar, the food reward, hey, but if you don't bite, you don't get remoted, and you get a piece of cheese. Right? Yeah. And eventually we just keep doing that to a point where we don't need it. Okay? Does that make sense now?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Questions so far?
No.
Now you gotta be careful about this guy, man. Like, he's a little dude.
I know, but I'm just telling you not to underestimate him because he's very quick and he's very strong for a little guy.
Yeah. I had a Shih Tzu go crazy on me.
A pit bull sounds scarier though, I'll say for sure. You had a Shih Tzu go crazy?
Yeah, he was here for daycare. He's super territorial, and he bit me through the third clip, the welding glove. But it's just a bruise. Like, he didn't actually puncture.
Yeah.
But with the smaller dogs, it's like a gamble. But nobody wants to learn. Is the dog really going to be able to puncture the welding glove?
I don't know. I used to wear oven mitts when I first got him, and that helped. That was fine.
Really, just oven mitts?
I'd wear oven mitts and like a glove. Yeah.
Oh.
I was making do.
You're smart. So yeah, so the welding gloves actually should be pretty good. Okay.
I will say he doesn't actually try to break skin on me anymore. He just throws a tantrum more. He snarls and growls and bites, but he doesn't actually touch me.
Sure.
He probably will not do that to you, but.
You can see how he's hurt. And a little bit of a lip clip there. 20 feet. You can see how he just keeps looking at the corner of his eye here.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to try to move the foot. See it look like?
Yeah.
A little pressure on it. You see the shaking.
This is fear, right? He's scared.
Yeah. His tail stopped, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't excuse the behavior.
No, of course not, but.
That's why when dogs bite me.
That's why I'm here.
I don't take it personally.
Yeah.
I sometimes take it personally. Because I feed the dog and I walk him and I do him so much love and this and that and the dog bites me. I'm like, yeah, this is the dog.
It took me a long time to realize or to start not taking it personally when he would snap at me.
Sure.
Not that I knew how to correct it, but being mad about it for an hour doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't know.
No, somebody, who was it? Oh, it was a consultation I just had on Sunday. The dog bit the woman in the face because he was sleeping, and then she went and put her face next to his, and then he turned and bit her. Not good. And
that's scary.
I told her. I essentially said the same thing, dogs don't carry things like humans do. And she said, no. She's like, yeah. She's like, he bit me in the face and then we're completely fine. He was wagging his tail and all that stuff. And she's like, I'm over here bleeding out the nose. I'm like, yeah, my dad's dog. They don't hold on to things that humans do. If somebody insults you, you can walk around with that all day, right? Yeah. Dogs, once it's resolved, it's resolved. So, and then I told her don't put her face in her dog's face when he's sleeping. You see them side eye.
Do you want me to take his coat off?
His what?
Coat?
I think we're fine. Okay. So I'm just priming for the big, actually lifting them up.
Are you gonna try to do that today?
Yeah. When you lift them up, how do you lift them?
Chest first.
From the
Like
side?
under.
And sometimes dogs get aggressive when you don't pick them up correctly.
I mean, I don't think there's any way I could pick him up, but unless he wants me to. Wow.
Feet.
What?
Now, the only reason I did it that way, ideally I'd have you feed them while I have them lifted up.
Mhm.
But I want to show you a couple of things. One, you control the head, you control the mouth.
Mhm.
Okay? Is when I'm back here,
Mhm.
if I'm touching and he's going to try to bite me,
Mhm.
he has to turn.
Sure.
And he's at a disadvantage, one, just because he's longer as a dachshund, but dogs, they have no strength like this.
Mhm.
Their strength is like this, going forward, right? So here, by putting the leash up and away from me,
Mhm.
okay, puts me at an advantage. Because if he tries to turn this way, he's got a lot of distance to cover.
Mhm.
And I'm already pulling him away from me, right? Plus going up here, if he tries to bite up, he's not going to reach me because of where the leash is at there, right? So that keeps me protected back here. When we try to do the lifting exercise, same concept. I'm going up and forward or away from me,
Mhm.
so that my hand can be here, and I can lift. And tip. Good. So that one, you can hear more discomfort
Yeah.
in his breathing. So that was more so when I lifted him, because I'm trying to, I don't want
You don't want to bite your
him to be
face?
that dog that's going to turn and bite this way.
Yeah.
Typically a dog will target what's irritating them.
Uh-huh, so the hand?
The hand, okay? So here, the hand or what's nearest. So I had a dog who got off leash in here,
Mhm.
who would attack the husband.
Oh.
Whenever it was a little Shih Tzu, and I was showing, they're like, how do I give the leash to my husband so he doesn't attack him? And I was going to show them.
Uh-huh.
The dog got off the collar.
Yeah.
And then I blocked the doorway, and I knew the dog was going to come and attack me. But I wasn't worried because it was about the same size. And sure enough, within like a couple seconds, the dog was like, hey, I don't like you. And he started coming to attack me. The first thing I did was just do this.
Mhm.
So I was like, you're going to target the first thing
foot.
that, right? As opposed to here, if I stayed like this, he could have jumped up and bitten me on the shins or the feet or whatever, on the knees. So here, this puts us at an advantage, because then you can kind of predict, if you were to be no muzzle.
Mhm.
So like, obviously we're doing the muzzle and all that stuff to keep you safe, and you can practice kind of with the peace of mind. But then the other part of it is going past that when you're not going to be using the muzzle,
Mhm.
is also just knowing how to use your tools
Mhm.
and certain ways of lifting them to still put you in an advantage, right? Because you could go 3 years with no problem, and then one day he's just like, no,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not too worried about it because of how I'm lifting them up. And I do this with all dogs, even if the dog is friendly. My assumption is I might upset you,
Mhm.
and if I do, not a problem, because I'm at an advantage. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So here, you can see how he's also just kind of watching me closer now.
Mhm. Do you think he's in pain when he gets picked up, or do you think he just doesn't like?
No, he just doesn't like being picked up.
Okay.
I mean, unless he's like been seen by a vet, the vet's like, yeah. But like that second one when I picked him up,
Mhm.
I could hear his breathing.
Yeah.
Right, like it felt like there was pressure on his chest.
Uh-huh.
So when I went to go put him down, that's when he was more turned.
Yeah.
And I just pulled my hand back out of habit. But other than having his head turned, there really wasn't any lip curling or anything like that. Now, technically, you can also correct that, even just a turn. Like you're just teaching him, hey, don't worry about that hand.
Mhm.
Don't worry about like you being picked up or whatever. So you don't have to see full-on aggression. If you see anything aside from the lip licking, you can't correct the lip licking. But if you're going to pick him up and he sees the hand and he's already targeting, right? So here, that's when I would correct and snap him out of it and then continue with the lift. So it's kind of like the fight thing earlier, right? If he's already running away and you try to keep pushing it, you're just building on that stress. Same thing here, when he turns, he's letting you know, hey, I don't like this. You're building on that stress. I'm anticipating we're to see something, okay? So the collar can also correct the thought.
Yeah, so it kind of like breaks his attention.
Correct,
Yeah.
okay? Now, it can also push the thought,
Okay.
that's why we do muzzle, that's why we do this stuff. So like, I had a client over the weekend, their dog was reactive, and they're like, our dog was great, but when we tapped him, the dog blew up. And I said, yes, like that's part of the process. Because the dog was already tense. The dog was already thinking, I'm gonna lunge at this dog, right? And the tap just pushed it forward. So then we keep the pressure on, or raise the pressure and keep it on until the dog retreats or decides, crap, I need to stop this. So then the dog learns, oh, that sensation doesn't mean do it. It means don't do it, right? But it's all about repetition.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you see you're working with him and you tap him because you see a potential thought of aggression and it provokes him, you got to keep that pressure on, and then all we do is pull up.
Okay.
Okay, so like if I have a dog who's being reactive and I'm trying to figure out what's going to stop him, the tapping or the contraction can irritate them and potentially create what we call redirected aggression.
At you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why we do the up and away. So if the dog tries to go towards us, they're limited. And if the dog tries to go up towards our hand, again, also limited. And my hand's actually going to go up with them because I'm already pulling up, right?
So it's the same idea when you're picking him up, you're positioning yourself.
Yeah, we're always putting ourselves at an advantage in anticipation that something's going to happen. Okay. So when you're working with him, even with the muzzle, my suggestion is you just practice these things because one day, like let's say you're with the muzzle, so you're more lax. You're practicing as a habit, and then when you're without the muzzle, you do it in a more strict way. One day you're going to get mixed up, and then you're going to do it the wrong way when he's not muzzled, and then it's going to put you in a bad position. So like for us here, when we close kennels with our feet. We don't close them with our hands, in anticipation that a dog might become kennel aggressive. On our everyday dogs, we do this, okay? Because it's habit. And it actually happened to one of my handlers where we had a new dog, and they went to close it, they used their foot, and the dog flipped out and charged the gate. But because we use our foot, we don't have that instinct of pulling back because we know our feet are protected. Whereas if she would have used her hand, our natural instinct is to protect our hands, which would open the gate and allow the dog to march through.
Yeah.
Okay? So, always practicing precaution, even when you're set up with tools to protect you and keep you safe, because you're building habits. Okay? Any questions about that stuff?
No.
All right, let me see where we're at here. Double toe drop, I need one. I got towed twice in 1 week.
Oh no. That sucks.
Yeah. A lot of snow this year.
Like because your car broke or because you parked in the wrong?
No, when I parked and I got stuck in the snow, and then I got stuck on that really snowy day,
Yeah.
that Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
I got stuck for like 3 hours trying to dig myself out.
Oh yeah.
All right. It's a reminder to me that I should have gotten that cheap out instead of my car. Okay. I'm gonna try this again. Right. Should have already see. Feels like a bit more tension here.
He was all hunched.
Yeah. Pull forward, continue standing. All right, so I'm gonna go up, away, and angled this way. You see that?
Yeah.
Good. There. Good. Yep. Good. He says next time, age, please.
I swear he bites, so I'm like very surprised.
I mean, one, I'm doing a lot of stuff, right? All that stuff that I was talking about, like all those things add up.
Yeah.
At some point, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, so even though he's not doing it, I always tell people expect it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because then we get complacent, and that's when things, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not surprised you know what you're doing.
So when you pick him up similar?
No, I don't. I pick him up with one arm under his chest and one arm on his butt, like this.
Gotcha. Okay. How does he feel about that, would you say?
I mean, like I said, he'll let me pick him up in certain circumstances, like when his feet get cold and he wants to go inside, and then it's fine. If he wants to get on the bed, he'll like prop himself up, and then I can do it, and it's fine.
Okay.
So when he wants me to pick him up, he doesn't mind.
Okay.
But
when it's on your terms, it's different.
yeah.
Okay. Because the other way would just be how we pick him up. So the way I pick up a small dog like my Chihuahua is I pick him up like this because you provide more support. Okay. Now he's longer, so I'm obviously still doing this kind of awkward. But something to experiment with, like when you're having to pick him up on your terms.
Yeah.
Like you can have on one way, and then when you're having to pick him up on his terms, you can use a different way.
Yeah.
Okay, because we know, like you said, when he's cold, whatever, he doesn't care. So we're not having to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you're more protected picking him up the way you are than I am, like, being near his face and not being able to hold him, like, using both of my hands.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to try it?
No, but I will, because that's the point.
Well, it's better under supervision, right?
I mean, I guess.
When you wear some gloves.
That's the finest cheddar cheese. These are weird. You want this?
Okay, thank you. All right, so go ahead and grab the leash first. Those well compliment you very well.
Thank you. It's a look.
So what you're gonna do is with the left hand, you actually want to be closer to where the end of your blue is. Yeah, right there. Okay. Because the further you are away with that left hand, and actually you're gonna grab it with your right hand, and your left hand's the one that's gonna come under to pick them up.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you need to, you're going to position yourself beside them, so you're facing the same way, right? And you're going to be up and away going that way, like you are. That way. Yep. Because if he's going to turn to bite, it's going to come this way to the left, most likely. So you're counting them up and away to the right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's not moving right.
Okay. And then left hand underneath. And then down. Okay, so we definitely want to make a couple of adjustments here.
Okay.
One is you got your face pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And I know it's awkward because you're trying to think of a lot of things. So we want to choke up on that leash again. Yeah, like that. And when you go to pick them up, I'm gonna have you not worry about coming all the way up. I just want you to get used to the up and away, the hand over, and the like kind of partial lift.
Okay.
And get them comfortable with that before we go to the full lift.
Okay.
Okay.
It's very difficult. I know that's the point.
There we go.
Okay. But he's looking at me.
Okay. So here.
Right? He's like.
Okay, go ahead. Partial lift. And then down. There you go. Okay. Everyone try that 3 more times, okay? There you go. Yep. Good. And then down.
I might be choking him a little bit.
So when you do the up and away, it's not enough where you're actually putting pressure on. It's just enough where it's there. So if he tried something, you would already kind of be pulling off in that direction.
Okay. Get your face away from me, dude.
There you go. And then down. Yeah, what's awkward is actually his long body.
I know.
Let's try one
He's
more.
sort of like,
Yeah.
these are really warm.
Use them for winter gloves.
Yeah, seriously.
Right, and then down. Okay.
Sorry, dude, my notes.
There you go. So then, at the end, do you get nervous when he looks at you? When you set him down, he kind of pivots, right? And does this? Do you get nervous?
No.
Okay.
Should I?
No, I mean, you want to always be as relaxed as possible. And it's weird, right? Because it's like, you're staring at your dog and like, shit, is he gonna bite me, right? But the moment you're like, you sit him down and you try to like scuttle away, it's gonna pull something out, right?
Am I doing that?
No.
Oh.
But I'm just pointing that out because
Yeah.
I'm trying to find potential issues that you may have so
Yeah.
you can avoid them, okay? So what's awkward is, of course, just just the length of his body. So here when you're putting him down, all that was good, and then he kind of, on the last couple, he pivoted to look at you, right? So on that pivot to look at you, potentially,
He could.
like,
Yeah.
all right, now I'm on the ground, screw you. So then, getting used to the habit of always having that leash up and out, so that when you set him down, if he does decide, like, screw you, again, you're okay because you kept that pressure up. Whereas most people tend to let the pressure go immediately, right? Until I know that I'm good with the dog or we're in the space where the dog's like not tense anymore, I don't ease up on that tension.
Okay.
And again, you're not trying to choke him. You're just enough where you feel the tension
Yeah.
that if he tried something, you very easily divert him.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, let's say he does flip out at you, up and away, and if you got your remote, start tapping. Take your time, okay? Don't feel like, oh, he's aggressive, I have to stop it immediately. Okay, that's not really the case. This gives you a little bit of gray area. It's like, let's say he's on your neck. He gets aggressive, you're pulling him away. Get situated first, drop what's in, if you got treats in your hair, whatever, and then go to your remote. As long as he's in the mental state of aggression, this can kick in at any point.
Okay.
Ideally, yes, we want it early, because for him, it becomes, the sequence is, mom picks me up, I get upset, I become aggressive, and if it's 15 seconds before the hit comes in, for him, he's got 15 seconds to be aggressive. So ideally, you want it as close to the start as possible, because then he's going to start to self-correct.
But I don't want to get anxious. That's going to make it worse, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why we have all these things. That's why you have the muzzle, and that's why I'm showing you, like, keep the leash pulled away from you and all that stuff, because I'm trying to put you at an advantage, because it's essentially kind of setting them up to fail and setting yourself up to succeed, right? And then correcting all those things, and eventually he's like, all right, if I try this, I get corrected. And the thing is, if he's trying to bite you, and he's just at bay, he's technically trying it, he's just not getting it. So then it's even less worthwhile, okay? So then once you've corrected him, and you'll see like him look either really stressed, because he triggered and you stopped it through a correction and you might have to bump the tower or whatever. Again, don't feel rushed. Like I've had dogs be super reactive and I'm sitting there like on the remote, just taking my time, and I could be 3 minutes in before boom, there it is. Because it doesn't matter to me how quick I get it. What matters to me is I find out that correct number. So that's why today he said we're gonna jump straight to 15, because that was your reference point from the vacuum, right? Questions on any of this stuff?
No.
Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have you try a couple more.
Okay.
And this time, just watching towards the end when he, once you set him down, watching his body language. If he does that, just a pivot to turn in, and just being sure to keep that leash up and away from you. Yeah.
Okay. Doing a very good job, buddy. Okay. So you can tell I've never done manual labor in multi-block.
Okay. Yeah. And And that one, he kept himself for the most part.
Yeah.
Always.
But I was watching. Get your face away from me. I know he doesn't understand me, but it still
I
makes
know,
me feel
it's very
better.
human. Good.
Does he seem more comfortable, or is that just me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's also you doing it. Okay? You can relax. We can take those off.
Okay. Wow.
What?
I'm surprised.
So your homework for this week, continue with the muzzle training as you have been, and then experiment with leaving it on him. You can even have him put it on and like now for a few minutes and stuff. We jumped ahead a bit with the touching stuff, just so you can start that process, because this is a process.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have a lot of, well, not a lot, but the feet stuff, which two of them are the same thing, nail clipping and paw wiping are like essentially the same, and then lifting, okay? So, I would prioritize the touch stuff first in any way that you can do it.
Okay.
And then once you feel like he's fully muzzle conditioned, you can really start pressing the exercises.
Okay.
One thing I do.
So wait, so for the feet, I'm touching, and then when he doesn't do anything, I'm feeding.
Correct.
Or I'm showing him the nail clippers and then I'm feeding.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you can shoot me an email and say, Jesse, can you send me the touch videos? There's one by this veterinary behaviorist that are really good. And she works really fast and it's short, but they give you a visual. But first, it's just here's nail clipper, feed.
Okay.
Then here's nail clipper touch your paw, feed. Then it's nail clipper touches your paw, feed. Then it's kind of click, whatever, feed. And then it's clip, feed.
Yeah.
So we're just taking what you've been doing and making them work for it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, as opposed to like, here is this, please let me clip your nails.
Okay, so I'm doing the feet and I'm gonna do the picking up like we did it.
Correct.
I might put on an oven mitt, but that's fine.
These are only, I think, like $30 on Amazon.
I'd like to think I don't need those, but.
You can try the oven mitts. But yeah, that's what I would start this week if you can.
Okay.
If you get him to a point and you're like, man, I don't feel too comfortable with this, just go back to what you're doing before.
Okay.
With the hair dryer and the vacuum cleaner, that still has its place as well. And then we'll see what we get.
Okay.
So I wanted to get this in today because, well, one, it's still cold out.
Yeah.
But then I know it's going to be a bit of time.
Okay, so are we meeting again next week, or is this the part where we start to have longer periods? Didn't you say that at some point?
Yeah, I mean, this is the core of what you wanted to address.
Yeah. Yes.
I want you to please also just mull it over, see how you feel with everything, and if you feel like you have a good chunk to work on, you can just let Maria know, and then just tell her, hey, from this point forward, I'm going to be on an as-needed basis. And then if anything pops up, if you have any problems, what you can also do is film yourself on your phone, email it to me, and I can review the video. Maybe you're picking them up and you're like, Jesse was doing great, but then all of a sudden you start doing bad. I'm like, show me. And then maybe you're doing something incorrectly, maybe you misremembered something, and then I can help you correct that, and then we can get you back on track so that we're trying to get as much as possible done. Okay?
Okay.
Other than that, the only other thing that he really needs is the second half of the heel, but with this weather, you're probably not going to be able to practice that much.
Yeah.